At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video March 27th.
Support comes from ServiceNow. We're for people doing the creative work they actually want to do. That's why this ad was written and read by a real person and not AI. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business, IT, HR, and more, so your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work for people. It's your turn. Visit servicenow.com.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello dear listeners, welcome to Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Cart. You're listening to the number one Millwall podcast. Of course, we speak in the wake of last night's disappointing, probably was disappointing, 2-0 loss at Elland Road. Disappointing, but maybe not unexpected. Joining me to chew over the cud from last night's defeat is show regular Michael Avery. Michael, welcome to the show, mate.
Good morning, Nick. Or I might get myself in trouble by saying good morning with those at work. So I'll pretend it's lunchtime.
Yeah. Good lunchtime to you, Michael. Strange. We're just speaking off air, listeners, Michael and I, and I think to try and sum up last night's game is a difficult thing in a way, because 2-0 loss at league leading, or second place, I think, going into last night's game, Leeds United. But I was struck by how little action there was. The early goal was most unfortunate, Michael, wasn't it? That early move down the left side and deflected cross off of I think it was the shin of Jake Cooper, which beat Lucas Jensen kind of at his near post almost. It slipped in between. It was probably a step further forward than you might have wanted in that situation. It's bad luck or bad goalkeeping for you, that goal, Michael, would you say?
I think it's more bad luck. I think we were just saying off recording, we'll touch on it in a minute. I think if Leeds were a top side, they would have exploited these gaps a lot sooner.
Yeah.
As in, like they would have seen him a yard off of his near post and probably snuck it in. But I don't think that's what they were looking for, hence the deflection and some other points we'll talk about in a minute. But I think overall, and my dad rang me at half time, funny enough, to talk about the game. And you see these comments online, so-and-so's not playing well and they're not playing well and they're doing this wrong. I just thought Leeds probably just had a bit more rubber to green than us. They seem to have not. I wouldn't say they were lucky winners by any means, so don't take it that way. I don't want people to say that. But what I'm saying is that the things that they tried came off, and the things we tried didn't. They were the better side. Alex Neil says it in his show notes that they were the better side, which you'd argue they were. They had more shots than we did. But what struck me as well, and again, you're sort of condemned by statistics, really, aren't you, as well? Because if you look online, it says that there were 8 shots in the game by Leeds, which again I don't remember. But then again, when you break that down, there was only 2 shots on target.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that I think that sums up the quality of the game. And same with Millwall, we had 4 shots in the game and none on target. And I think the commentators even made a point through the game of saying that Jensen didn't have a lot to do. So it's one of those. You go away to It's your typical midweek against the top of the league when you've got a bit of erratic confidence level. Go away, they take their chances. You don't. Go home and go again.
Erratic confidence, I would agree with. Also, it's got to be said, listeners, and people often say you're making excuses, Michael, but I don't believe you can lose the scale of injuries and a squad of our class, shall we call it? I don't know what the right word is, but we've lost some seriously influential players. Even our club record signing, Negley, is not available at the moment. He's out for X number of weeks. I don't know. We've got Danny Mack. We've got Ryan Leonard out. The list goes on. Obviously now,
Billy Mitchell was out for a while, wasn't he?
yeah. So we are injury. We're playing with centre backs in right back positions. Harding started last night, replaced by Kramer. But neither of whom are naturally right backs. They're kind of filling in there. So there's a certain make do and mend quality to the Millwall side. There's another subject entirely as to why we get maybe the scale of injuries, or I don't know how we compare with other clubs, but we certainly feel it because the squad is comparatively small, can maybe compare with our other sides in our division. But I mean, last night's game. Actually, let's give the listeners the starting 11 just as we're talking. So we've got Jensen in goal. We've mentioned him already, and we've got Harding, Cooper, Tanganga, and Bryan. Saville and Denor in front of the back 4. Then up front, Kundle in the middle. I want to talk about Kundle in a second. Honeyman, surprising choice perhaps, but he would pull up. Another player that left the game for injury midway through the first half, I think. And then Aziz, a player again that limped out later in the match. And then up front, Ivanovic. That's not a bad 11. I mean, probably you could maybe talk whether Coburn should have started in front of Ivanovic or the other way round. I don't know. There's much in it, really. Coburn gives you more physicality, whereas Ivanovic does give you a little bit of the unexpected, the ability to hit shots from distance and pull off goals where you wouldn't expect it. But otherwise that's probably not a bad starting 11. But the game itself, we barely produced a chance, Michael. It was a strange match of relentless Leeds possession. We're a goal behind early, and a sense that something is impending from them without ever really causing much danger to us. So I thought it was actually a decent performance defensively that contained one of the league leading sides. Maybe arguably they'll be champions. So to go there and keep it tight for so long, up until late in the game when we're trying to push to claw back that early goal, I think it was a pretty good performance. And then some people might regard that as a strange thing to say with those stats, but I don't know what else we could do. Maybe you could talk about Kundle starting in the centre. Some people choosing him online. Some people choosing Jensen online for their Honeyman when I was at Watford, taking all sorts of comment around me. And I just think people sometimes seize upon individual choices when we've really got to get through to the end of the season and have a bit of a revamp of the entire squad. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think I saw something online as well. What said like all that excitement in the January transfer window's now gone. Apologies to whoever tweeted that out. If I've nicked that off you, but again, you could argue, Bangora Williams, he's been doing all right in the last couple of months. Especially when we was at Palace away, everyone's shouting he's better than you, at SA. Connolly come in, he seemed to do really well when he first come in. He's
Yeah.
now relegated down to the bench. He only come on with the last 10 minutes to play, and again, it's like you're saying with like the resources we've got and players in the wrong position or not the wrong position, but having to fill in here and there. It does strike me that when you are 2-0 down or 1-0 down away from home with 10 minutes to go, you're only putting Conley on for like the last 10 minutes. You're only putting Coburn on for the last 10 minutes. I find with Ivanovic, I don't know about you, Nick, but like you say, he has these absolutely brilliant moments where, you know, he runs through, beats a couple of players, puts it in, or he had that lovely free kick, or he scores worldies. But if he's not doing that, he's not doing anything. So I think if after an hour you're not seeing anything from Ivanovic, bring Coburn on then on the hour mark. Maybe, you know, do something like that, because I think with Ivanovic, he needs to have like a real sort of confident. He either needs to come on as a sub and bang one in to get his confidence up, or he needs to be like absolutely firing from the start. Could it be a lack of service he's getting? Because I didn't see him touch the ball much yesterday, really in an effective way. But if he,
No, he didn't. He
yeah,
barely
if
touched
he's
it.
not doing
Yeah.
anything after an hour, you've got to start bringing, like you say, bring Coburn on to rough it up a little bit. Yeah, like we are in a tough position when it comes to the squad. Again, you sound about injuries there, and there's a bit of me. I know we've said it half tongue in cheek over the like last few seasons, but we do seem to have a lot of injuries, don't we? And quite lengthy injuries as
We do
well.
catch them. Yeah.
So,
Why is that?
and the
I
thing
don't
is as
know.
well
I
is,
don't
and
know.
this
I mean,
this this goes back to it as well. And again, without trying to be too sort of like tinfoil hat on, we've had Rowett, Harris come back. You know, we've had Livermore in for a couple of games. We had
mm,
Joe Edward. Now we've got Alex Neil. We're still getting these injuries, so you can't even say it's the
yeah.
management and the training style.
No, nor the style of play. I mean, just going back to the selection. I mean, we've been quite free with our praise for Alex Neil, and I would still be free. You know, I like what I see. He changed the game on Saturday at Watford, and we won it. And I didn't see that coming at half time at Vicarage Road. Going to Leeds last night, you're kind of going to have to expect to be under the cosh a little bit, Mike. I mean, you know, realistically, we're not going to dominate there. We're going to be sitting back waiting for them to come at us, and then hopefully we're going to go direct to the big man up front. I'm not sure that Ivanovic is suited to that role, so I was surprised when I saw him
Mm.
start last night. Whether that's a rotation between him and Coburn to use Coburn more effectively, perhaps on Saturday at home to Stoke, I don't know. But certainly, as soon as I saw Ivanovic starting, I thought, well, we're not. Our main outball is going to be to hit the big man up front, and that's not really his game. So I was kind of surprised. I'm also surprised to keep seeing Cundall, who I thought is clearly a skillful player. We saw that in his opening couple of appearances for us. But Connolly, every time I've seen him, looks like he's
Yeah,
strong. He's squat and he's strong. He's skillful. Why is he not
yeah.
starting? Is he injured? We came on last night, so he can't be that injured. So that was a surprising selection in two fairly crucial positions. If we're going to get a result at Leeds, it's going to be via absorption of pressure and then hopefully winning something on the break. And I'm not sure that those two players particularly suited that
No,
style,
no,
Mike.
exactly. And you know, I'm gonna contradict myself slightly, that in the sense that, you know, I mentioned Bangora Williams, but maybe you could argue that Bangora Williams and Marku, those type of players, again, if you want to get them on the counter, is the way forward. And you know, you don't want to always say that, you know, like you want to throw games away, or you go there not expecting much. But like you say a moment ago with the lineups suggestions, some of the players you've got on the bench there, for me it seemed like the priority last night was don't lose rather than let's try and go for the win, with that lineup and the way we were playing. Because, you know, looking at the tactics, we did sit back a lot. And you know, I've always said to you
Oh, yeah.
over the years, and other people as well, that you can judge a game by how much you pick up your phone and have a look at it. And you know, there was quite a few times I found myself looking at my phone, not for extended periods, but I'm watching the game thinking, we're not doing anything. We're not penetrating. We're not getting forward. We seem to just be wanting to ride the wave of Leeds attacks. Which again, like I say ride the waves of Leeds attack. We didn't ride our luck, and we weren't awful by any means. You know, on another day against a lesser side, we win that game, or we at least get a point, because I thought defensively we were good. But like you're saying, I don't think Leeds had to do a great deal to really get through. And let's be honest, there was that moment when they caught us on the break, and a better touch by James. That's what, 2-3-0.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, everything game over. I mean, just to run through the game, obviously the early goal, Fortune played its part, perhaps deflected own goal. there was a long debate on TV about whether it should be an own goal for Jake Cooper or an own goal for Lucas Jensen. Don't think it matters one way or the other, really, but it was deflected in at the near post. Jensen, for me, he got a hand to it, actually. We'll come back to Jensen, actually. I won't dwell on Jensen. But then it was pretty much large chunks of time passed with nothing much going on. Few shots, well saved, 20 minutes shot, run from the Leeds United, and then shot and well saved, well wide shots. Not much to report. They had a bit of pressure, increasing pressure after the break, Michael, didn't they? They flicked the crossbar, 49 minutes, they flicked the crossbar, running. Again, a better placed shot on target would have gone in. That would have been 2-0, and that really would have been game over, wouldn't it? So I think it's a combination of good defence, solid defence, whilst relentlessly giving the ball back to Leeds whenever we got a chance to get that foot on it. We were just lumping it forwards, going to a white shirt. I mean, this takes me back to Connolly and to the Connolly v Cundall choice. Connolly, the ball, it seems to stick with him a little bit more, which gives you a moment to at least get men forward. I don't know. There might be reasons that we don't know about why he's not starting, but I am surprised.
But it's like you were saying as well. It's like if you watch him play Connolly, it struck me like, I mean, when we first signed him, it sort of struck me like, everyone says about like his history and that little video that come out about his struggle and stuff like this. When we first signed him for those first couple of weeks, he looked looked a big lad in the nicest way. I don't mean he looked fat, but he looked a big lad. He looked, would he be match fit? But you think for me, he was very powerful on the ball. He's intelligent. He holds it up well, and again, it's that type of thing where, like you were just saying there, if you need to sort of like soak up pressure or invite pressure or get them on the counter, that's what you do. You play it up to a Connolly who will seem to hold it up or can win a foul or can sort of do something with it and invite other players back into play. But I mean, you were just saying about Jensen there. I mean, we could talk about him now if you want, but for me, I still don't know what to make of him because he'll have games where he plays really, really well. And like, what was the game the other week where arguably I think it was his performance that kept us in the game. I think it might have been West Brom, wasn't it, at home, where he's had an absolute worldie. Or there was a game recently he's had an absolute.
We did on Saturday. We were 2-1 ahead. He's made a point blank save.
But then he does things what are questionable. And like we said before recording, there was that time, just outside our box, Leeds have been awarded a free kick. There's a one-man wall guard in the side of his goal, and you can argue, it's a long way off, and you've got to do something special to beat a keeper. But you've seen him beat from there. He's 3-4 yards off. He's 3-4 lines off his goal line. He's got a one-man wall protecting his side of the goal. He's trying to organise his box. A better team thinks quick, launches that over the wall, bang, 1-0, and that's due to erratic goalkeeping. He just seems to me that it's one of those things. He probably has these worldies because he is erratic. He can't do the simple stuff. But there's a little bit of me as well. Let's not keep going over old Grand too much. But how much is the ban on Roberts playing on him at the moment? Because straight away.
Well, there's no place to hide for him, and the sub goalkeeper now is G.
And this goes back to it. I came home yesterday. Like I had football training with my little ones. I came home. The first thing they said was how much longer is the other keeper banned for? So every time you see Jensen there, you're thinking of the scrutiny that Roberts was under. And I'm not saying it's going to do the same thing we're expecting him to happen again, but like you say. You can't hide. There's even less room for error.
No. I mean, Jensen gives you, you said it. I mean, world class saves. I actually managed to get a freeze frame screenshot of him making a point blank save at Watford, the match winning save, as we said, from close range and a corner, I think, at Watford, which basically won us 3 points because otherwise it'd have been 2 each, and that would have taken the taste away from Saturday's performance. So you've got that, and then you have flappy moments. And I'm not going to go over every single flappy moment, but I'm not sure it inspires 100% confidence in his central defenders or his defence generally. I'm sure, the club would say that, everyone gets along just fine. Everyone's got 100% confidence in their teammates, blah, blah, blah. But it must play on your mind a little bit that if a ball's coming into the box, you don't quite know what he's going to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, if I were the recruitment team, if I were Alex Neil, Michael. We don't really know what Liam Roberts's longer term plans might be, what the club might think. When we've seen him, he's looked good, but he now carries the weight of being this notorious figure in football now, the man that, kung fu kicked Mateta. So that's going to follow him around now. He might want to escape the Millwall part of that, at least, maybe make a new start. So I don't know. I'm trying to think how I would be in his shoes, and I might think to myself, would I want to make a new start in another club? Or you might think, I've been backed 100% by this club that values loyalty, a fan base that clearly will have my back now. I'll give it a go. I don't know. But the goalkeeping question must be something that crosses the mind of the recruitment team and Alex Neil, I would think.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
of course. And I mean, like, again, we don't want to keep going over even more old sad ground, but would Jensen and Roberts have been signed if what happened last season?
Sarkic. Well, they wouldn't
No,
have done, would they? They would have had a sub
exactly.
keeper. Conal Truman
Yeah,
must have.
so again, you don't want to keep going over all these and don't want to turn this show into a doom and gloom thing, but they've already come in under immense pressure, strain and pressure, through no fault of their own. That you've also got a situation at the moment where, do we really know who's our number one and who's our number two? We know Jensen is because he plays more games, but on ability, I said this to someone.
But is that because we paid money for him and we're invested in him, a bit like Ivanovic?
Yeah.
Hey, it's Haley Steinfeld. When everything requires your attention, it can be tough to figure out what to prioritize. But I'm here to talk to you about something that you should always put first: your breast health. In fact, if you're 40 and over, you should be getting screened once a year. And if you're under 40, it's never too soon to visit yourattentionplease.com to learn about your breast cancer risk. So go on, pay the girls some attention and take the time to find out your breast cancer risk at yourattentionplease.com. Trust me, your future self will thank you.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more, or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy, champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
Achtung, Millwall.
We're invested in the boy, so you kind of this is I'm sure this will be like the Neil Harris debate, and I don't want to go over all of that again, but there was this strong sense that because the club had paid money out for Ivanovic, that he was expected to start, and Harris was expected to go along with that, when I guess his footballing judgment, as we've suggested on this show, is that he's very much a kid learning the game still. And I think there's elements in his game that
there is a player there, no doubt.
Alex Neil Harris are judged week by week on their position in the league table. That's where their livelihood hangs. So I do wonder whether the Jensen choice has a little bit of that. I think
they will look at they'll look at all positions in the summer. They've got to. It's as what we said before, in the sense that we've got a lot of injuries, in the sense that it's a little bit threadbare at the moment, but let's again be honest. You don't want to slag off players because you don't know what they're like as people, but there is an awful lot of players, well, not awful lot. Take that back. There's a few players who you could say maybe they might need to go in the summer, and I think they'll look at it across the board. But I think they will look at goalkeepers as well, because I don't think on ability neither of them have really, really shone. They've had good games, they've had good moments, but where Millwall historically, yes, all right, Biakowski flat towards the end of his career at Millwall a little bit, and there was question marks on him. Similar with David Ford, you know, he was a good old goalkeeper for us, and you need something a bit more solid. Millwall's always famously had solid goalkeepers, Nick. You know, like I know, like even
Yeah,
the years I've been watching it is, with all respect, shorter than yours. But you know, we've had in my generation, we've had your Casey Kellers, even your Tim Carters, who was decent little
yeah,
goalkeepers. You
yeah.
know, names escape me. Denzel, Tony Warner, and
Warner.
Andy Marshall. We've always had good goalkeepers, and it's always been built on that.
Absolutely. I mean, the common quality I think for a great Millwall goalkeeper is that you are both in physically in stature and in personality. You're a big personality. You're a big
Yeah,
bloke as well. I think that I mean Sarkic kind of blew that a little bit because he was a smaller guy and he developed his goalkeeping to the point where he became a match winner. And I'm thinking back still further. I mean, Brian Horn back in the day, a long while ago, was not a physically big bloke. He is now, but he wasn't
he'll
when he
love
was
you for
playing
that, won't
football. Big personality, Brian. But and he, you know, he's a great goalkeeper for us. But generally speaking, they are David Ford, Tony Warner, Casey Keller, big boys, big personalities. Look like they can give you a right hander as much as you know.
he? Yeah,
Where required, they're going to impose themselves on the situation. Is Lucas Jensen that? He's a very good goalkeeper in moments, and then other times I'm not sure. He just has the communication at times with his central defender. So anyway,
yeah,
there it is. Just to add in, I'm not blaming him for the second goal. I'm not really blaming him for the first one, really, because I think it was just bad luck. But second goal was a great finish from Tanaka, the Japanese guy, I
yeah.
think. Finished from the edge of the box. He had a bit of space, but he put it away very well. There wasn't much that Jensen could do about that, and that's game, set, and match really
I
at
don't. I
2
don't
nil.
think like what we're saying there though. If the Jensen family's listening or any of his cousins or whatever, I don't think you could put last night on the goalkeeper. I think we're just
No,
saying
no,
that.
no, 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 no. Bad luck for the first goal, and that's that happens. But we're always going to be under the cosh at Leeds. I mean, anyone that thought we're going to go up there and play an expansive game is probably a bit deluded. But yeah, no, I'm not blamed. This is more of a wider debate about where Millwall Football Club wants to put some emphasis
The,
in
the
its
the
recruitment.
one
And
thing I will say, in all seriousness, and you know, let's look at this in the cold light of day a little bit. Um,
Mm,
Now, I'm not I'm not settling. I'm not one of these who settles for mid-table. But let's be honest with you, the turnaround that Alex Neil's done since he's come in has been immense. You know, and you
absolutely,
know,
yeah,
I mean, how
absolutely.
many points do you need to stay up in the Championship? 45, like roughly.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a very. I mean, certainly 50 is generally deemed to be the mark where you can call yourself
Yeah,
safe.
yeah.
And we're 2 points shy of that now, so I think we
Yeah,
are set
exactly. So
with
something,
another
some,
game yet to go.
and let's be honest with you. You know, let's have a quick look at this table now while I'm talking to you. Those, but
13 points above
yeah,
Derby
that
in the
bottom three
current
are absolute
relegation
garbage.
spot.
They really are, aren't they? I mean, you watch now Luton go on some massive run and overtake us. But you know, like I say, there's like I always say to some of the people who we are friends with, Nick. Let's just say that
Mm.
there's got to be a lot go. There's got to be a lot go against us in 9 games for us not to be fine this season. And
I don't see the Alex Neil structured Millwall side, which won't turn you on and won't get you excited particularly, but it will get you enough points to remain at a mid-table level. And there is a strong hint for the future because we've made some signings. Some of the signings we've made, going back to the point you made about the excitement of the January transfer window, we've made some strange signings in that we seem to have signed players that have then gone straight into the medical room or the hospital
yeah,
treatment centre for immediate attention. So I'm guessing the likes of Zach Lovelace, Bobby BBB, Benicio Boateng, I think his name. I can't remember his full name, so excuse me. BBB is called him that. Both have arrived to some fanfare, and even AJ Matthews, I did see scored for the under 21s in a game yesterday. But they've all seemed to have kind of arrived and gone straight down to the doctors to start their treatment. So I'm guessing these are investments for the
Yeah, and, and
future.
and the thing is as well. Again, I know you're down. We was just saying as well. You're down by statistics, but if you are one of these people, and you are, you people who like all your XG and all that tosh, but
Yeah,
like we're 13th. If you look at all the way up to all the way up to 7th,
yeah,
only Norwich, one place above us, and Bristol City in 7th have lost fewer games than us. And if you look at the goals conceded, only Blackburn in 9th have conceded less goals than us. So it's scoring goals which is the problem.
scoring goals. Just to make that
Scoring
point,
goals is the
scoring goals
problem.
this season and has been for some
We want to
years.
slag off
Scoring
Jensen and
goals.
Roberts and Wezard and all that. All we want, not me and you, Nick. You know who you are, who's listening. But we've conceded 39 goals in 37 games. Now you could say, oh, that's just over a goal a game. Well, guess what, listener? Norwich have conceded 52. Sheffield Wednesday
Yeah,
58. Watford 50. Middlesbrough 48. Coventry, who are up in 6th, have conceded 9 more goals than Millwall. We just don't score enough goals.
absolutely. And a mid-table finish, despite the influence of the TikTok social media age we live, is a pretty good performance by Millwall. And I think it's got to be acknowledged as such, because when Alex Neil came in, the club did feel a bit like it
Oh, we were
was
doomed.
taking in
Yeah.
water. Yeah, taking in water, starting to sink. So, he's stabilised the ship, and you can look forward to better days ahead, which is always a
That
key
was a
point.
race
I
also.
just
That
want
was
to
a race
mention,
also I put money on yesterday that didn't come anywhere.
did you, the Cheltenham Festival? Just want to mention a couple of things. The commentary team on the TV last night, Michael, was AN Yorkshireman, I think, was the main man, and then had his sidekick Terry Gibson, the ex Wimbledon player. And they were the same team that did the FA Cup commentary. They must be their local Yorkshire TV Leeds correspondents. But they were speaking about Leeds United as though the viewer, i.e., me in this particular case, should be ever so slightly awed by the mere fact that we're watching this team in white, who are reminiscent of the great Real Madrid sides of the past,
Of course they are.
and that there's a certain kind of quality of admiration that should be inbuilt in anyone that watches them. And I mean, I think they're okay. Clearly, the league table don't lie. They are top of the league at the moment. But I didn't think they were that brilliant. But the way they were talking about them was as though we were watching like a latter day
Mm.
Ajax 1974 or something. Very, very one myopic. What myopic's a
Well, do you
good
know what
word?
this is?
View
This is
commentary.
another topic for another show, for another time when we talk about something else. But for me, and I said this when I was at Palace Away, there was a lad who stood near me. If you know you are, you listen. Apologies, I didn't get your name, but we were talking about, Palace. They knocked the ball around well when they were playing the ball around and all this. What I said to him was, in the Premier League, don't give a toss. The Premier League just care if they get their 20 teams, who sell loads of
Mm.
money. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. But what my concern would be, Nick, if I'm a Leeds fan and in the FA, is why are we tearing up the second tier, but we don't like we play a style that won't last 5 minutes in the top tier, and this goes back to like not just Leeds, but a lot of them in general. You look at Burnley under Company, who's now tearing it up in Bayern Munich because he's got the players who's
Yeah.
able to do it for him, regardless of what your opinion is of the German league. They're smashing teams in Champions Leagues as well, but Burnley didn't last 5 minutes in the Premier League. Everyone praised their passing style, but admitted it didn't work. They're back down in the Championship.
They came.
They're
Did I last a season, or was
one
it one
season.
season? I
They
can't
they go
remember.
they go back down to the Championship. They're one of the best informed teams in the country or in the division.
Yeah.
Same as Sheffield United. Sheffield United started on -2 points. They was an absolute laughing stock in the Premier League 2 years ago. They're now second, even with a points deduction. Leeds, who are absolute crud in the top tier, are flying at the moment. And the three
Yeah.
that went up from the Championship, are bottom of the Premier League and struggling. And this is what I said to the chap who was at Palace. All these fans have got the point of view that they want to go up with Millwall and they want to see us in the Premier League. Nick, I don't know about you. I don't really fancy going up to the Premier League and losing 6-7-0 every week. And this kind of
No,
goes back to what we were saying with the
no.
Alex Neil thing, how he's building for something in the future. And again, this is why is enough topic for another time. But it's concerning for me how there's just such a gap between the Championship and the Premier League now, because like you say, they're waxing lyrical, Leeds United, about how great they are and brilliant they are, and they're putting their silly little memes out on social media how they've beat the FA Cup 5th round finalists, which I saw earlier on. But they will be very lucky to survive in the Premier League, because Daniel Farke's he's not brilliant either, is he?
Well, he's got a track record of getting out of the Championship and then coming straight back down. I mean, the league is replete with clubs that have yo-yoed. West Brom, good example.
He's like Neil.
Norwich
He's like
them, come down,
he's like
and
Neil Warnock with an accent and your aunt's haircut.
So I think there's with Leeds in particular. I don't think. Well, I could be wrong. I don't know Sheffield United that well. I don't know Burnley that well, or Sunderland. I don't think there's the delusional quality that you get with Leeds, who are still, I think, labour under the delusion that they are one of Europe's great sides.
Yeah.
And that somehow the world is cheating them of their true place.
They're
at
a
the
poor
top.
man's Liverpool, aren't they?
Well, it's funny because the night before last night, I watched the Liverpool versus Paris Saint-Germain game, which is one of the great examples of top-level football played by two great sides that could easily grace a World Cup final if they were national sides. That's what you call top-level football. And, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to see many teams that could survive with that at that level. Certainly, I don't know that Leeds can do, despite their idea that they were, should be European Cup winners. The memes made me laugh. The only message I've got for the Leeds United social media team is that the essence of comedy is once you get your laugh, you don't want to wring it out. And they got a good laugh, and I take my cap off them for their 391 tickets sold for a midweek game. Incidentally, listeners, it's a dead rubber from the Millwall perspective for any realist looking on. But anyway, they extracted their humour from their 391 tickets sold, and they had a block freed up. But what you can't do is then keep mullering it, because good comedians move on to a different subject, but they come back with the FA Cup 5th round finalists. They're overdoing it, kids. Get your laugh and move along. But there we are. We do get under their skin for some reason. I think, as we said offline, Michael, I think that certainly I've got this sense from the two commentators, including Terry Gibson, who's a very miserable sounding man. He's like Glenn Hoddle stripped of the personality and the sparkling humour. But there's this sense that we should all be slightly it's like we've gone into the British Museum and we're looking at one of the finest arts of Ming vasery, and there should be awed. Yeah. And one thing Millwall will never be is awed by reputation. Far from it. There we are.
Canva presents the killer of productivity. It was an ordinary workday until...
Oh no, this meeting. It could have been an email.
Run. Canva had a creative solve.
Forget email. I'll just put the info the team needs in a Canva doc, and I'll make it visual with images, charts, and graphics.
Bring productivity killers to justice with creativity. Love your work at canva.com.
In a way, it ends where it begins.
Very insightful.
Thank you for sharing this Red Baron with us, Linda. It's so tasty, it makes me want to share something of my own. I didn't actually read the book.
Me neither.
I watched the movie last night.
I judged it by its cover.
I haven't read a book since middle school.
I'm secretly seeing 2 other book clubs.
And I can't even read.
I'm not really Gary. He just paid me to be here. Sharing Red Baron pizza can lead to more sharing.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. Like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Achtung, Millwall.
Move along. We were going to touch, Michael, if we may, before I let you get...
back to lunch.
back to lunch. I was going to talk about the season tickets, which came out, season ticket prices, I should say this, which came out this week. Basically, to put it in a nutshell, listeners, if you haven't looked already, the tagline is "Forming the Future." That's the advertising.
Look at you playing it all
tagline.
calm and all that. Oh, what it is, dear listener, is I think it says, you did the voiceover. You know exactly what it
I
is.
did the voiceover. And I'm looking. Incidentally, anyone out there, my rates are very cheap. I'm looking for top level voiceover
He
work
gets paid
now.
in season tickets that have gone up.
All I want is a jet washer to shoot off the bird shit from the seat that will cost you early bird. It's gone up £515 for the top back price. That's Barry Kitchener stand upper deck. I actually qualify for the over 64s, listeners, and that's hard to believe, I know, but it's true. I'll get the over 64 price now. But let's talk about the main prices, £515. That's if you book before the 2nd of May. It goes up to 592, Michael, after the 3rd, so the normal prices, and then various categories beneath that. The club have streamlined. Is that management speak, Michael? You're involved in this world of managing wealth and so on, aren't you? Streamline their categories. Would that be the right way to put it? Below the so the prices go downwards basically to a minimum of, well, under 6 prices. The lowest one you get there is 25 quid for this family stand. But basically, prices for adults, 500 top dollar, 399 for the family stand, 420 for the lower cold blow. They've risen slightly. But I think, is it fair to say anyone being realistic has to expect prices to rise in the era of inflation and other prices and costs going upwards? Is that a fair comment? You see a lot online that people slating the club for this, but I don't think it went up as much as it might have done.
Yeah,
personally,
it's a tough one because you're gonna, whatever we say here, Nick, we're gonna have people who disagree with us. And I
well, try and be realistic.
No, you're
because
right. You're right, and
you can't say prices should freeze.
Yeah.
Because then you're saying that, well, Mr. Berylson, will you pay for my ticket to some
Yeah, of course
extent?
you are. Of course you are. And this and like I said to someone the other day who asked me, if the club would have done everything what the fans asked or wanted, or not asked, the wrong way of putting it, but what you want, what I want, they give you a season ticket for free. Because then you can get in for nothing. Let's not beat around the bush. If someone said to you, what would you...
Some people try and do that, I understand.
You nearly slipped me up there. But but going back to it, it's, if someone said to you, "What do you want, Michael? Give me 3 seasons again." I'm laughing, but you like you say, realistically, we're a club who have a lot of price freezes over the years. When a lot of other clubs put a lot of money up in other things, it goes up. And I know we're we're all Millwall fans, or not all, but the vast majority of Millwall fans are working class, or still class themselves as working class and are working class roots. So everyone feels the pinch. Me as well, you as well, Nick, if you don't mind me saying, everyone does. So I'm not speaking.
Absolutely.
I'm not speaking at a way where I got loads of cash free for, because God knows I haven't. But like you say, even when it comes to like like if you want to argue the investment in players and this and this and this, prices go up. It's unfortunately, it's one of those things. Could you argue that the percentage increases in some categories and some departments are higher than others? Yes, you can, but it's the club are going to make themselves unpopular. No. By putting money up, even if they kept all these categories, and we was in that meeting, and I'm not going to lie, there were some things that they suggested, which the supporters club straight away said, no, we don't agree with that, and the club took some of that on board, to be fair to them, and some of the things that were suggestions were knocked back, and they were suggestions we thought that they might have put in, but they didn't. But also there were things that they suggested we knocked back and that were put in. But that's business. You need to compromise. You can't. I don't want to piss anyone off, but you've got to respect these things, and also as well, like I say, like you said about the streamlining there. A lot of other clubs, they just go straight from under 18s down, or they'll go under 16s down. And yes, okay, some of the age categories might have been taken out. I think the under 12 got taken out to put in the 14s and other bits and pieces here and there. But we still have an armed forces discount, which I don't think a lot of clubs do. We have a lot of yes, a couple have been taken out, but we still have a lot of children categories. our allowance with disabled fans and what the club acknowledge as disabilities and let people in with their disabilities is all medium to high level compared to a lot of other clubs who just have high. So, yes, okay, they've had to make some things, but it's unfortunately something that's had to happen. Some of the percentage increases are high. Yes, I'll acknowledge that. And as fans, no one's happy with that. Trust me, because I've got 3 children, all different ages. 13, 10, and 4. So some of their categories would have got taken away. But there's not really a lot else we can do. So
No,
the supporters club gets flack, and sometimes some of the flack they get, I think you're entitled to your opinion, but sometimes I think sometimes it can be a little bit harsh. But we went to the meeting with the club. We expressed, look, we don't think some of these things that you're suggesting are working, and they took some of it on board. So did they take everything on board? No. Did they take some things on board? Yes.
I mean, just to explore that, because obviously I see the same comment online about the Mill Supporters Club as everyone else. I'm not going to get into the rights and wrongs of the MSC particularly, because in my experience, anyone that will do anything of a voluntary nature gets slaughtered, and the vast majority of people won't do anything. So there's always that quality. A lot of people saying that the MSC doesn't do anything for us being the vast majority of people that don't do anything. What I would say is, what is it you would expect a supporters club to do? Now, the most you can do is say we do not agree with these price rises. That's whether the MSC would choose to say that or not is a judgment that would be taken by those that sit on the committee there. There's nothing you can physically do. The only thing that anyone can physically do is not pay the prices and not buy the tickets. And that will be a business lesson to the club if that's how it works out. Because I've also read people online, Michael, saying I can't make many games now because of the number of 12:30 kickoffs that Sky TV have
And
imposed on
that's
us.
not the club's fault.
No, that's not the club's fault, other than the fact that it has a vote in the EFL that dealt, but that's contract is signed, and that produces money for clubs across the 72, isn't it, in the Football League. But there's not much that anyone can physically do about it beyond choose not to pay these prices. That's your only weapon. The MSC, what can it do? There's not an awful lot it can physically do, other than maybe make its views apparent on price rises and the percentages. I haven't got the percentage increases in front of me, listeners, so I don't know. It said it's gone up, but how much it's gone up, someone else will have to tell me what the percentage is. I don't know. But as far as the practicalities of it, I think that the prices we're charging probably are on a par for a club in London. I don't know, and maybe even slightly less still. I don't know. Now, whether that makes it right or wrong is another matter. But I'm not sure what it is that people often, other than the immediate moan of that's 500 quid, which is a fair point. Not everyone's got 500 quid to play. There is the credit that the club, and not everyone wants to take credit out. I get that. I don't know what the match day prices are. This is just season ticket prices. I'm not sure what the walk-up prices are for matches next season. Whether that's part of the equation, I don't know. But invariably, season tickets are a minefield, and whatever you do, someone's going to tell you you've done the wrong thing, or you should have done this, and you should have done that. But there's actually not much practically that anyone can do, other than the club, in terms of setting the price agenda.
There's work on the base. There's work on the. I know season tickets give discounts in the sense that you're compared to match day tickets, and I know you've obviously got to pay in advance, and it's a big lump you've got to pay in advance. I get that 100%. And again, trust me, dear listener, in the past when I've bought season tickets, and even now, I sort of say to the family, might need to cut back on our spending for a couple of months because I've just bought a season ticket, that kind of thing. But if you work on the basis there's 23 home games, it works out to 22 quid a game. I think it's about 35.
Yeah, I was just going to say £22.39 if you want to sit in the upper.
Yeah.
Sit next to me in Birdship Corner, listeners. It'll cost you, on practical terms, £22.39. What is it for Sam? The Cold Blow Lane end is for 420 for the lower, so that's what about 23. It's £18.26. which is I don't know what the match day prices would be, Michael. I think it's 35,
something
40
like that.
quid.
So you save about 12 quid
ish. Yeah, you're saving about 12 plus quid. Might be a bit
That's in
more
the
this
kitchen. That's in
season.
the kitchen stand, obviously.
Yeah, and they do support the elderly like me, over 64 range. They've got armed forces. I think everyone would agree that's a great thing. And you've got categories for 18 to 21s, under 18s, under 14s, and under 6s. So, as you've said, I think most places, whether it be sports or theatrical or whatever you want to, gigs or whatever, they have an under 18 or under 16 price, but that's it. You don't get any kind of other ranges beneath that. So this is geared around getting you to take your kid along.
And this goes back to it again. And like I've got a 13-year-old who last year qualified for obviously the under 12s and all this stuff. Even though the under 12 category's gone, and apologies for anyone who's got 11s and 10-year-olds, they're still in a discounted concession range. Whereas, like we said there, other clubs would put 10-year-olds in with under 16.
Yeah, I mean the difference between the under 14 range and the under 6 range, under 14s is 90 quid, and under 6 is 41. And that's for Barry Kitchener upper stand. I mean the family stand is a bit different, but and the Cold Blow Lane end. But I'm going to take the high prices just as example. So £90 if you're under 14 for a season, and 41 if you're under 6. And I've seen plenty of people around where I sit bring their kids along to sit there. They don't necessarily go in the family stand, so they're with their mates, and that's part of the experience of going to football. You sit with the adults and you learn your ways from there. Under 18s, 180 quid.
But going back to it, like sticking my neck on the chopping block here, which I think I have done, and I think it's right to, when you're on a supporters club, you have to sort of come out and say things sometimes. But is the percentage increases ideal? Obviously not. Are some higher than others? Obviously, yes. But, like just as we know with the Berylson family and the way the club's run, you can argue with maybe you don't like the direction of the social media's going, and you can argue the way maybe we sell things in our club shop, or the fact that the German sausages are no longer there, But ultimately, Nick, people at the club, I know people at the club, and let's be honest with you, we all know, like in one way or another roundabout way, we all know people at the club. This club wouldn't fleece fans. This club wouldn't just nick their money off of them, just take their money off them like other clubs do. And the fact that they sat down with the supporters club was because they were like, look, we have, like, ticket prices have to go up and we want to do it so it's fair and it doesn't hit anyone. Other clubs would have just gone, we ain't even going to talk to our supporters club or fans, bang, off you go, see you later on, and just do it.
There was a point made in the commentary last night, just to go back to Terry Gibson and A.N. Yorkshireman or whoever he was, but they did make the point, and it is a fair point, that in terms of financial resources, Millwall will be amongst the smallest in competing in the Championship versus clubs like Leeds. 34,000, I think, were in Elland Road last night. I mean, you go to Sunderland, it's size stadium. We're up against some major financial hitters in Championship terms, and the hard fact is that to compete, you do need to generate a certain amount of income. That's just the market that the club is in. Would it be great if they could halve the prices?
Of course it would. Of course it would.
We have to be realists, listeners. So I don't know. I mean, certainly those are the prices at the moment. They've got early bird prices up until Friday the 2nd of May. Top end, Barry Kitchener, 515 at the moment. Bottom end is the Cold Blow Lane end, 420 adult prices, and then it goes down from there depending on your category in whatever bit you would put yourself. It could be a lot worse. I was expecting higher actually, because you kind of get you get the detect the way the wind's blowing. I thought it might be higher, but there is a balance to be struck between pricing people out of the game. Some will say they've been priced out already. That's part of modern football, sadly. That's why many people go non-league, Michael.
Yeah.
For that reason, and a different atmosphere. But then you're not looking at the kind of quality, if you want. And also, I think is a sad impact of kickoff times. I do think the 12:30 kickoffs have an impact, but then we've spoken about that many times. But it does mean that many people can't make so many games, and they won't buy season tickets. There's a balance being struck,
and also as well, it's not even what's what's doing all clubs in, and I know that, and I know that someone tweeted out about Sky Money as well and all that. And again, I don't, even though we sat down with them and we feel we know the club and you know the club and all this, we don't know the statistical breakdown of how much Sky gets with how much they get in revenue. Some clubs, I think they worked out with the Premier League, and I think Bournemouth was an example. If I'm wrong, I apologise to all Bournemouth fans who listen to this show. But what I'm saying is that I think they proved that Bournemouth could actually be empty without fans' tickets and still make profit because of the money they get from Sky.
Because they're in the
Premier League.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what this TV deal does for us as a fan base, but let's be honest with you, midweek games on a red button, that must kill the revenue for us, because even though you get your season,
Well, it did against Bristol.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the official attendance was there, Mike. I think I read 12,000. There was not 12,000 people in the Den. It looked like the old days of League One football, you know, when you had a midweek fixture against a smaller club.
And again, let's be honest, Nick. Like, just from we spoke about business before, and it's just common sense. Me and you, I'll rock up to the ground. I don't know about you, Nick. I'll rock up to the ground, watch the game, might buy a pint at half time, then go home. Emphasise might.
I don't spend in the club
That's
shop.
my point. But we're not.
I don't want to eat at the club outlets.
Yeah, we're not the ones who go down and you know, like we joked about, or you joke about calling the group on stand, and everyone says about like all the foreigners coming over because they want the experience. They're the ones who spend £100 on club shirts.
Yeah.
So
that's the practicality.
So where you start taking these fixtures away from these types of fans who want to come and watch that level of football by putting games on at 12:15 and putting all your midweekers on the red button, the club's got to think of ways, if that's not being balanced, if the red button money is not being balanced out by the people coming in and spending money because they could rather watch it at home on a red button or watch it on Sky midday at 12 on a Saturday, they might have to put prices up of other things. And I'm not justifying it, listeners. I'm not saying that they're taking Sky money and then fleecing us as well. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we don't know how much this Sky deal, which everyone bangs on about, it's brilliant, is affecting the club. I might be wrong. I'll hold my hands up. If I've got it wrong and actually that Sky money's put us in a massive profit and actually they are taking money off us, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm wrong. But
I think we've got to go a long way before we can, Mr. Berylson is no longer required to underwrite
exactly my point.
X numbers of millions of pounds. Because that's the bottom line here. I mean, you know, I've read stuff online, people saying about what the club should do here and there and everywhere. But in the end, the bottom line is that we're asking James Berylson on behalf of his family to pick up the tab to keep our club going. And that's the truth of it. So, you know, yeah, I get the need. I mean, even the Mill TV discount, some people are going off about that online. You can talk about the service you get. I find it quite useful because they'll give extended highlights or full game highlights if I've missed a game and I want to do this. But it's not bad service. But you know, the idea, the modern world exists now, I think, Michael, where people think they can get stuff for nothing, and the internet has generated this idea that you can read articles, you can see content, and somehow it comes at you for free. Someone said there's no such thing as a free lunch once upon a time. Much more intelligent man than me, but that's the world that we're in.
It weren't Harry, was it?
It was Harry, actually.
I'm just thinking of the people who are more intelligent than
Bobby
you,
T.
Nick.
Bobby T said it.
Over his 15 voice notes. Good old Bobby T.
Michael, it's the end of your lunch hour, mate. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show.
Much. Yeah.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.